Hey everyone, this is Phil
and Lula
of the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
You're listening to Into the Night,
The Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Looning listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 253. You with your High Priest of Khonshu, Ray. Hello, good day. And we've got a fantastic show, but I can't do this alone. So I've brought in the heavy artillery, and joining me is Jack Russell.
Give me a keg of beer.
Moran from Tomes of Evil. I don't even have to put in a post-edit. That's cool. Russell, how you going?
I'm good, Ray. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm super keen to get... This is something a little different, Loonies. You may have noticed on the podcast title for this episode. It is a waxing gibbous, so it is an other side of the moon, but it's kind of like a Moon Knight comic by proxy, in the fact that we're going to be doing or focusing on the latest and greatest Moon Knight villain or enemy revealed in the Jed MacKay run. We'll be looking at Dark Reign Zodiac, the miniseries issues 1 to 3 from 2009. So it doesn't have Mooney in it, but it's very much linked with Moon Knight, especially after the goings on in the Jed MacKay and the Alessandro Cappuccio run. And of course, as I mentioned, Jack Russell is with us. But before any of that, of course, a huge thank you to all our sponsors. Big thank you to Drew Toombs from Toombs and Loke Music. Big thanks to Daniel Doing of Fringe Night, as well as CLZ Comics and Dreamland Comics as well from Schoenberg, Illinois. Also, a little shout out now, and I might repeat it again towards the end of the show. Russell, thank you so much for... Russell, you've upped your game with the Patreon as well. Yeah. So a big thank you for that as well. And, of course, we'll thank all the Patreons towards the end of the show. Now, Russell, here we are. Mm-hmm. Just two young kids sitting on a fence with our legs swinging. And we've got I've got here on the prompt sheet, it's not a moonshine. It is another side of the moon. Zodiac. Would you be so kind as to give the fair listeners a rundown of the credits for me?
Yes. Dark Reign Zodiac 1 through 3. The writer is Joe Casey. Penciler Nathan Fox. Inker is also Nathan Fox. Colorist Jose Villarrubia. Letterer Albert Deschesne, and editor Tom Brevoort.
Mm-hmm. And released June to October 2009, and available. I know, Russell, you have in your hot hands hard copies, like floppies of this actual mini. So just 3 issues, but also available on digital to buy, or I've read it on Marvel Unlimited as well, so it's available there for any subscribers. Now, listeners, sorry, Russell. I mean, like, we're diving straight into it. I should have taken a step back. Should have kind of asked, anything eventful happen over the last week, or have you made any great purchases apart from Zodiac?
I've made a few purchases over the last few weeks. I finished off my run of Sleepwalker.
Nice. That's a substantial run, right? It's like, what is it?
33 issues.
Yeah, that's pretty long. Yeah.
And I also Ray knows why I did this, but I bought like the entire first 2 volumes of Cyberforce in floppy form. So
yes, where do you find this? Like, where is this? Did you buy it all in one place, or?
The Cyberforce I did.
Mm-hmm.
MyComicShop.com.
Right.
There was only a few issues they were missing, so I'll just have to, pick those up on eBay or something. But
yes,
yeah, Cyberforce not exactly flying off the inventory shelves. But
well, I mean, it was interesting enough. I remember when Image started and Mark Silvestri, because I'm a bit of a fan from Uncanny X-Men, him taking Cyberforce. A nice motley crew of characters. I know why you picked it, Russell. Very cool thing that you sent over. But yeah, I mean, are you a fan of Wetworks as well, Russell, or do you know?
I know of it, but
Okay.
I've never read it or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was a bit more of a fan of that because it had more of a Predator vibe. Like a soldier, a unit, infantry unit.
Yeah.
But they had symbiote, like gold symbiotes that could kind of heal them and augment them. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Will Spataccio as well, a fellow Pinoy. I think you call them Pinoys, Filipinos. Filipino background, so yeah, pretty cool. All right, so nice catches there, Russell. What did I get lately? What I've been trying to, I'm heading towards wanting to collect. I want to get the complete series of Wonder Man of the 90s. It was a really good run, and I hadn't finished it. And a little shout out to Sector 2819, is it, with Will Allred? He told me that towards the end it gets kind of dark and pretty involved, so that's kind of piqued my interest. And I've finally found a full set of Curse of the Ebony Blade Black Knight just recently. That's kind of just passed. Issue 5 was really hard to find because of a first appearance of spoilers of a new Black Knight. Someone else takes the mantle. So, had you read that as well, Russell? Or
I have not, but I've been wanting to read it.
it's pretty good. Like,
I've read that they've tied Black Knight's sword in with Null.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Is Null's kind of like dead, isn't he? Is he?
Yeah, he got thrown into the sun, so he's pretty dead for now.
For now, yeah, for sure. Because I didn't really follow King and I'd like to. I mean, Phil was telling me how it was really good, actually. But I picked up Al Ewing's Venom #1, and you kind of have to jump on because it's a logical kind of next step after King in Black. So I've learnt that Eddie Brock now is apparently the King in Black. He's almost kind of godlike powers, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I was just wondering, what happened to Null then? Like, because he was seemingly all powerful, but
Yep.
Get thrown in the sun.
Well,
I guess that'll do it.
I think they're coming out with a omnibus of all that Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, Venom stuff. So
that might
be able to read it all up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, it's probably all on Unlimited as well, so I should be able to catch up on that.
Oh yeah.
So
it definitely is.
Yeah. Anyway, listeners, sidetracking a little bit there, but for those that haven't listened much before, we are going to go through issues 1 through to 3. We're going to treat it as a whole arc. So what we usually do, we'll go through a bare bones, just a little summary for those that kind of want to recap or who haven't read it but just want to know what we're about to talk about. That will kind of take you through that. And Russell, slightly new, different format. Look, I've put in 5 key moments, but I'm going to leave it open. If you wanted to talk about something that really stood out for you in this miniseries, then we can use that as a key moment for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Russell and I will follow it with any other notes we may have on writing, art, themes, characterizations, or references, and we'll cap it off with Khonshu's rating system. Now the one and only rating system in ITK. It has shot the vanilla rating out of the water. So yeah, done away with that. So that will be out of 10. So Russell, I haven't proofread this, nor have I asked you, but would you like to read the bare bones?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool.
Zodiac wages a personal war against Norman Osborn in what seemingly looks like a thirst for anarchy, recruiting accomplices such as Manslaughter Marsdale, the Clown, and his lover, Death Reaper. Zodiac causes terror to Hammer and Osborn by killing his men before turning his attention to superheroes. Luring Johnny Storm into an old S.H.I.E.L.D. complex, Zodiac taunts the Human Torch, enraging him, making him reckless and careless. Passing through a tunnel turns out to be a trap, and the Torch is severely hurt from the energy siphon system before Zodiac callously beats him to an inch of his life. With Johnny in hospital, surrounded by Sue, Ronin, Hank Pym, Zodiac continues his onslaught by rigging the hospital to blow. Hundreds of people die in the explosion, but Sue manages to save a few with her force field, including the superheroes and her injured brother. Not content with causing that mayhem, Zodiac also rigs phantom alerts to Hammer that Galactus is coming. Osborn touches base with Agent Murphy, who has been following the case and correctly believes the random events are tied together. Osborn dismisses this and demotes the concerned Murphy to a glorified desk job. With Paste Pot Pete and Whirlwind, who had been acting as a mole within Hammer, now joining the villainous crew, Zodiac unleashes yet another act of terror in procuring a giant robot to lay waste to New York City. Osborn and the Avengers have to contest with the destruction, but all this is slowly revealed to be nothing more than a diversion for Zodiac, and his true plan is revealed. On top of the revelations that Zodiac manipulated the likes of Marsdale and the Clown to work for him from the start, the Zodiac key is revealed to be what Zodiac was after all along. In a chilling monologue to a cornered Agent Murphy, Zodiac reveals all before killing the luckless agent. Norman Osborn plays spin doctor to the media after the string of catastrophic events, and in an undisclosed location, Zodiac looks on gleefully, keen to undermine and ruin Osborn and the authority he has established.
Yeah, thank you so much there, Russell. That, I mean, pretty much caps it. There's a lot more, obviously, to it, but just trying to truncate it into a summary across the 3 issues. And I may have overlapped some events, before, which came after and such like that, but you kind of get the gist of it. So overall, Russell, before we get into the details, what did you make of these 3 issues? But actually, first, had you heard of Joe Casey and Nathan Fox?
I think I had at least heard of Joe Casey. I think he actually did some Hulk stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I ever read any of it, and I wasn't particularly familiar with Nathan Fox at all.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, his art seemed almost kind of like indie to me. But anyway, it's still good. I mean, we'll get into it. But yeah, so how did you find these 3 issues?
for the most part, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, I was going to say that it was really dark, but I think that kind of goes with the name.
Yeah.
Dark Rain. Everything was dark during Dark Rain. Yeah, it was a lot of. I mean, there was a lot of violence and brutality, but it still had some fun to it, I guess. And I guess that's perfect because that's kind of Zodiac's whole thing.
Yeah.
But there was actually a scene that I laughed, but not particularly because it was just, stupid or silly or funny, but just because of it was ridiculous.
Was that the Japanese robot? No. Oh.
No, but I'll give an interesting story about him here shortly. Do you want me to get into my key moments, or do you want me to just?
Oh no! Look, I was just going to say myself. Overall, I thought I really enjoyed it. It kind of took me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't know. I mean, as you said, it's a part of the Dark Reign kind of event, but I actually hadn't read much of those. So this, coupled with the fact that it's Zodiac and the type of character he is, it kind of threw me how violent and graphic it was. But I think Casey did a really good job with, I don't know, keeping the tension there, and making Zodiac a really scary villain. So I was pleasantly surprised with these 3 issues. As for key moments, or what's one of the first key moments for you for this miniseries that kind of really stood out?
Well, it's similar to you. Him beating the Human Torch.
Yes,
it was a surprise to me. Like, because the Human Torch is not. I mean, he's a powerful character.
Yeah.
And Zodiac just outsmarted him. It was just wild that he was able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what also surprised me as well, like with that, Russell, and absolutely, I think that was one of the memorable scenes from this miniseries, is that he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty, Zodiac. It's not like he's just a mastermind behind in a chair. He actually goes to the site, and he's the soldier on the front line, so to speak. He takes on the Human Torch himself, outsmarts him. And my gosh, were you as shocked as I was when you saw Johnny Storm bleeding out of the eyes and the nose and the mouth after he got zapped?
I was shocked. Yeah.
Yeah. But then we see later on, Zodiac does more than that. He actually gets a metal pipe, and there's this unconscious Johnny Storm, and he's just like smashing him. And then he picks up a piece of machinery. It's really brutal. And you kind of, there's a little bit of you kind of fearing for the Human Torch. You know he's going to survive, but it's like, geez, this guy he's going to, there was a list of the injuries, right? He's got like a fractured skull. Man, he's in a really bad way.
How is this not more of a known thing? I mean, this miniseries must have just slipped right under the radar
Maybe because of relatively unknown creative team, I'm thinking. But they, as you said, they slipped under the radar, and this is, for me, like a really solid piece of work. There are some shortcomings to it, but overall it's really tight for 3 issues.
Yeah. I also have the moment that I laughed at how ridiculous it was is the fact that not only does Zodiac blow up a hospital, right?
Yes.
but he blows up a hospital while he's having sex.
Yes. Even pixelated one moment,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's wild. Absolutely wild.
That's the adjective. That's the way it is wild, because he's and he doesn't he put the trigger like in between Death Reaper's breasts, you know.
Yes.
And it's kind of turning her on, and they've got this sick, weird sex game happening. But yeah, that results in a massive explosion. Look, the parallels are obviously going to be there as well, Russell. With Zodiac and blowing up a hospital, you know, being an anarchist, we get it. But that was a massive moment as well. It just is one of the examples of not like just the sheer terror that Zodiac places, but the way that Casey writes him, it's just kind of, it's full throttle straight away, because we're there in the room with Sue and Ronin and Hank, and there's Johnny Storm, who's still in his coma, you know, as fragile as anything, and there's no respite, you know. Then you have, you kind of contrast that with Zodiac and the Death Reaper having a good old time, but what they're doing is setting up like an even worse thing. I mean, we don't even know the numbers, the casualty. Like there are hundreds of people, you'd imagine, that have passed away there, but we focus in on the superheroes. Sue manages to save a few, but it's just, this guy is a real danger to society. So yeah, that was a big moment.
And one more key moment for me, when Zodiac is trying to recruit some people for his team. Yep. And I think it's Clown. He says, "You're not Zodiac. You know, Zodiac, that was a group of supervillains."
Oh, yes.
And he was like, "You know what? Yeah, you're right, but I really just like the name." And then he has a bag with him, and it's all the heads of the Zodiac.
Crazy.
The team. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're no pushovers either.
They're no pushovers.
How did he kill them?
I would love to get a mini on like how he kind of hunts them down and kills them himself. This is a guy that, before he gets a Zodiac key, he's pretty much just human, right?
We know of. Yeah.
That we know of, yeah. We have the little insight, though, and I think that's really great. He obtains Manslaughter Marsdale's ability to not feel pain. So I guess he's protected in that sense, which can make him reckless. But yeah, he, for all intents, he's kind of normal. So every time I'm as I'm reading this mini, I'm kind of thinking, geez, I'm putting him up against Moon Knight. I'm just thinking, man, Jed MacKay is going to have a field day with this guy. Because, I don't know, he doesn't care. Moon Knight doesn't care as well, so it's going to be an interesting showdown. I don't know about you. I read issue 1. I think I read that twice before I went into issues 2 and 3. And the second time I read it, did you pick it? Because I kind of picked it when Marsdale was saying, he got beaten up, but then Zodiac saved him, like brought him out of the coma. I was immediately thinking, I bet you Zodiac freaking put him in that coma to begin with. Yeah. Did you? No,
I didn't think that.
Okay.
I just thought, because despite him being, absolutely, loony, the Zodiac does show some loyalty throughout this mini, especially to Death Reaper. But
yes,
but no, I actually didn't see that coming. And Jed MacKay has made a amazing Easter egg for this whole thing that Zodiac can't feel pain. I don't know if you saw this, Ray.
No.
And earlier in the run of Jed MacKay's Moon Knight, I can't remember if it was issue 2 or somewhere in there. I'm blanking. Wow, I just blanked. What was Zodiac's human identity that he was pretending to be? Was that
Terry? Oh well,
Terry.
Vampire.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Terry.
Yep.
He and there's a panel where Terry gets hit by a moon dart in the leg, and he does not react.
Oh, that That is so cool from Jed.
Yeah.
And that would have to be calculated as well, for sure.
Yes. Yep.
That's awesome. I love it. The Zodiac's definitely, I mean, and now he's got, well, he has the Zodiac key as well, which makes him even more terrifying. Look, one of the things, one of the key moments I wanted to touch upon was the subplot of Agent Murphy. Because again, I think Casey's really used him well because he's almost an avatar for us, almost kind of.
Yeah.
But what makes it so impactful is at the end, like he dies, so it's very bleak. You know, again, there was a little bit of Ray in the mind as I was reading that last bit, going, "Oh, is he going to get away somehow? Is he going to somehow?" And Zodiac saying you've got 10 more seconds before it's all over for you. And then cut to a couple of pages later, and he's gone. He's got a huge hole in his chest. So I found that quite impactful. But also, I guess with writing, what was your take on Agent Murphy? It seemed to be his role, like in the whole series, seemed to be not that clearly defined. He was investigating the cases. This is what I understand. He was investigating the cases. He was reporting it all, but somehow that kind of pissed off Norman Osborn. I mean,
yeah, I didn't quite understand.
If anything, he was helping Norman Osborn figuring out, you know. So yeah, I didn't.
I honestly think that it was Norman just being. How do I put it? He was being kind of narcissistic in that, like, he was feeling that how could this guy possibly know more than me?
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is that in this story particularly is that Norman, now that he's in power, is getting kind of sloppy. I feel like the Green Goblin would never make these mistakes that Norman Osborn is making.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, he's very. He seems to be very, albeit, you know, a little bit not off kilt, but he seems to be less insane, I guess is what I'm saying, than the Green Goblin. So, at this time during Dark Reign, Russell, do you know, he's not affected at all by the Goblin Serum or anything, or he just seems to be quite a astute, director.
Yeah, I know at this time that he, did not operate as the Green Goblin at all.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
But I think he's just hiding it really well.
Okay.
Because he's obviously still, a crazy, evil guy. But he knows that he can't really operate as the Green Goblin or he might get found out. That's why he becomes Iron Patriot.
Yeah.
I'm not. I haven't read all of Dark Reign, so I don't know. Like, I don't even know how really he takes over Shield and all that. But
well, I think it was alluded to, wasn't it? Once Secret Invasion, is that right? Varanka.
Yeah.
Once she gets defeated, then I think Shield crumbles or something, and because I'm assuming there were
I
the
think
Skrulls.
It was actually Norman Osborn that killed
the
Skrull Queen, and that's, I guess everyone was like, "Hey, that's what we'll do with Norman. We'll make him director of S.H.I.E.L.D. now."
Yeah. So he kind of like takes over, and So I don't know. Norman. And this is a thing I think that really bites with Zodiac, and he mentions it as well. Like, Norman's kind of kowtowing now to, authority. Like, he's part of that system now. And I like how Zodiac's kind of very much an anarchist, and it's like, well, that's why I don't really like you, Norm. But again, very, very clever that was kind of like a smokescreen, and what we really see towards the end is he's after that Zodiac key, which is which is, I mean, I'm sure he had a lot of fun along the way, but his plan all along, I believe, was to get that Zodiac key. So Agent Murphy, I thought really good, but I think, I don't know, just thinking, putting my writing hat on, his purpose for the story just seemed to be a little bit blurry, but for all intents, it was, he was caught in a flawed system, like in Hammer. He's trying to find something good. He's trying to find out what's happening. His boss is not kind of responding to him, and unfortunately, in the end, he gets done for for doing that. We see the extent of Zodiac's, I guess, genius. He also mic taps, like, you know, that meeting that Norman Osborn has with all the bigwigs. Like, you even see Namor in there. Namor. I'm thinking, go Submariner. But, you know, the likes of Emma Frost. So he's privy to all this information. He has Whirlwind. Is it Dave Cannon as the chauffeur? Yeah. So very calculating with all that. But so for me, one of the key moments is basically this characterization of Zodiac. It's just really well done by Josh Casey. I don't know, any other big moment for you that kind of stood out?
I mean, we have to talk about how he made everyone think Galactus was coming.
Yes. That was cool.
Ridiculous, but everyone was literally like, "Oh shit!"
Well, they were panicking at Hammer. They were going, "Oh my god!" Like, this is obviously global. This is a huge problem. They talked about the Avengers having contingencies about evacuating off planet or going interdimensional. Norman's kind of like, he's a bit crazy as well. He does go a bit crazy, actually, because he wants to go fight it or resist it. So I found that interesting. But this whole smokescreen of it actually not being Galactus. And then on top of that, you get Zodiac procuring a robot and chucking that into New York City to cause more of a diversion.
Yes.
It's crazy. Did you say you had some backstory on the robot?
Yes, that robot is called the Red Ronin.
Oh yes, that's right. It was labeled that in the series. Yeah.
And that robot made his first appearance in Marvel's Godzilla.
Oh wow! Nice.
And just to further tie this in with the show we're on, Red Ronin was created by Doug Minch.
Oh, well, yes. I love it. 6 degrees. So this is a Moon Knight centric issue. Nice one. Wow. To me, he looked like Rodimus. Is that right? Rodimus from Transformers.
Yep.
I thought there was a little bit of that, but it was just
kind of a combination between a Transformer and Ultraman and a Megazord from Power Rangers, but just all those wonderful Japanese mech and kaiju creations.
Yeah, and it was fun to have him like in there, and I guess Zodiac's logic was like, let's give us, I mean, they're going to be in a panic that Galactus is coming, but he obviously can't get Galactus to come over, so let's just get someone big to come over. And I liked how that was bubbling away in the background, because there was a couple of scenes about, I think Marsdale, I believe, and the Clown were in Japan. They were cutting deals to get this thing. So that was interesting. But Galactus, I think that was a masterstroke. It was essentially only there to give them enough time, to buy them time, because Zodiac said, look, they'll figure it out sooner or later, but it just buys them enough time to, I guess, weaken the defenses of that place that they storm and eventually get the Zodiac key. I mean, that's how I took it. Is that right, Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, talking about big moments. For me, I mean, it only came out towards the end, but was the Zodiac key. I did not. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. We saw the decapitated heads of the Zodiac. We have the titular character called Zodiac. For the life of me, I did not expect to see the Zodiac key. Were you expecting this, or did you find it a surprise as well?
I had wondered where it was when I saw the decapitated heads, but I wasn't expecting him to actually get it, simply because I don't think he has it anymore.
Well, in the Moon Knight, right? I don't know.
Because since this miniseries has come out, I think the Team Zodiac has appeared again.
Okay.
I think actually in Spider-Man.
Oh.
Dan Slott's Spider-Man had Zodiac in it.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like Scorpio, is that the one that's Nick Fury's brother?
Oh, LMD,
yeah. He had the Zodiac key the last time I saw it. So
well, that's the last time I saw it. That was all the way back in Defenders, right? Or was there something after that?
No, this was in Amazing Spider-Man.
No, I mean before that. Before.
Oh,
before.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, good then, because I was getting a little worried for Moon Knight there. If Zodiac had the Zodiac key, and I guess, well, it kind of makes sense. He would have. I'm assuming he would have done more if he had it with him, like we would have seen from Moon Knight. Issues 1 to 5. It would probably make him a bit too powerful, but yeah. I like the look of it in this series. It's actually got a nice revamped look. It's got more detailing on it. It's got a nice green glow to it. But yeah, it's certainly one of the more powerful weapons, I think, in the Marvel Universe. So if you've got someone like Zodiac carrying it, it's not good at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So any, I don't know, Russell, any notes on about the writing or the art that you like to, or the characterizations of any of the characters?
Well, I agree with you that the writing for Zodiac is fantastic. They really bring a balance here of, like, this guy is kind of jovial and nonchalant, but he's also terrifying. Yeah. And again, that's going to draw comparisons with someone else. I think it's different enough. Yeah. From him to, but I totally agree, like, with you, Russell, in that sense. But I think because the aesthetic is so different, like apart from the behavior, like, you can't. I mean, it's not an immediate comparison, and that's to me anyway. Like, because at least say with Moon Knight and the other guy, there's like a contrast, but there are very much similarities. Like the utility belt and the cape, and one's essentially all in black, the other's in white. With Zodiac and the other guy, they aesthetically, I think they just look so much different. If anything, he looks a bit more like Scarecrow, doesn't he? So, yeah. But no, I see where you're coming from. Absolutely, the parallels are definitely there, and with the hospital, as you said, that's even more of a parallel. Actually, I loved how at the beginning, how he gets some of that blood and he smears it on his mask to give him a smile. Yeah, that was another thing where I was like, do they realize what they're doing here, or I think with the case of, like, speaking of writing, as I mentioned, I was quite impressed. On the slight flip side, I think Death Reaper,
I think she was relegated to Marlene status of the the classic
Definitely.
era, which is a shame.
Marlene in bed.
Marlene in bed, and she's literally just horny the whole time. And she kind of, dare I say, like services Zodiac in that capacity. I mean, she seems powerful enough. She's the daughter of Necra, that's an awesome lineage. And they also have a discussion whether her father is Eric Williams, the Grim Reaper. And she says, I think she says no, but she's a very interesting character. I was just ashamed that she kind of got relegated to just being in the bed and just being horny. There didn't seem to be much room for female characters in this story. Like we saw Miss Marvel as well, and the most striking thing from me is when she was fighting the Red Ronin, and there was just a gratuitous butt shot of her. And the other one was Sue Storm, and she had at least something like, to offer in the story. She obviously, her brother was heavily injured, but she managed to save the people from the hospital. But yeah, I felt that they were pretty much underserviced with that regard, Casey. But yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Sue being the strongest of the female representation in this. I actually quite liked her very small but very pivotal role in this. She took charge immediately. As with Death Reaper, I feel like you can also draw the comparisons to someone else, but maybe even like more amped up than that. If you know what I'm referring to.
Are you referring to P.I. or no?
I was referring to Dr. Harleen Quinzel.
Oh, okay, right, yes,
but,
okay, yeah.
That was. I mean, she was literally just there to be horny.
But pretty much, Again, which is a shame because she's got an amazing power set, and she's probably one of the most deadlier than Manslaughter Marsdale or the Clown. So yeah.
I feel like of his lackeys there, and I know this kind of is going to go hand in hand with the characterization bit that we have here, but the Clown kind of being like very nonchalant about, I guess I'll join him. And we talked about Manslaughter having he's been believed that Zodiac saved him when he was actually Zodiac that put him there, so we know why he's there.
Yes,
but I think my favorite bit is Whirlwind being the chauffeur, being the mole, because Whirlwind is actually one of my favorite D-list villains.
Nice. He's a good villain. I like him. Yeah.
I've always loved that green helmet.
Me too. And the razors and the buzzsaws as well. Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked his role in this, basically having to put up with Norman's shit to stick it to him eventually.
Yeah. Well, and Norman is a dick to him. He's
awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's not like canon is misconstruing it. It's there. It's on the nose. He's like,
right.
call me sir or Mr. Osborn. Up yours.
You had mentioned that we saw Miss Marvel, and I just want to clarify to the listeners that's not Carol. I think that's Moonstone.
Oh, that's not Carol. Okay, right.
No, because all the Avengers have been replaced by Thunderbolts.
Of course, yes.
So
yes, that's right. Yes, and I thought you were about to say, just to clarify, we're not talking about Kamala Khan, because 2009.
That too.
But
she hadn't become Captain Marvel yet, but
yes,
that's not even her.
That's not even her. Yeah, true.
Yep.
So I mean, with the art as well, I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought that it really filled up all the panels and the pages, and it's a really good effect. Immediately, you're kind of swamped. Like that first couple of pages with the guy strung up and Zodiac talking to him, trying to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out what hammer stood for. That there's there's a lot of detail in that. I felt at times some of the faces were a bit weird, like they just looked a bit weird, but that could have just been the style. I don't know, like Mr. Fantastic looked a bit weird in some of his shots.
Human Torch looked really weird to me.
Yeah.
And that's before he got beat up.
Yeah. Yeah, this might be a pretty face. How funny was that? Oh God, that butt clutching shot. You see when Johnny's walking with his two dates, and she's just like, openly just grabbing his ass.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the art was I really enjoyed the art overall though. But yeah, how about you, Russell? Is pretty much the same, or?
Yeah, I feel like the art had this really cool stylized grittiness to it. But yeah, some of the faces were off, and I'm almost wondering if that was intentional.
Yeah, it could have been.
Like,
could have been his style. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe like I'm probably looking way too far into this, but maybe this whole mini is like meant to be like what the world looks like to Zodiac.
Oh, very cool.
And the Human Torch would be up on his list, obviously, or he wouldn't have beat the shit out of him. But
yeah,
he just sees him as an ugly person. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
it does seem like a lot of the heroes and Norman kind of has some weird faces every now and then.
The Death Reaper always looks good, so maybe that feeds into your theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love the way that clown is drawn. He's got that really bumpy, like, disgusting nose. He kind of just looks like a bit of a grub.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was that thing as well. Sorry, Russell?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, just thinking, there's that thing towards the ends, because we talked about Manslaughter Marsdale being manipulated by Zodiac. There's a thing at the end where Zodiac calls out the clown. It's like, you're not the real... Like, it's a flashback, I'm assuming, saying you're not the real clown. It's your brother. Identity theft. That was meant to be some sort of blackmail, right? To have the clown actually work for him.
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah. That was a little bit confusing again, because if you take it back to where they first meet, where the clown's in his apartment and Death Reaper and Zodiac come in with the heads... It looks like that they've never really encountered each other before, but apparently what I'm assuming is that bit towards the end where Zodiac calls out the clown for being an imposter, I'm assuming that happened beforehand too. So that was just a little bit confusing too.
Yeah, that was pretty much ruined for me when I was reading up on Zodiac right after I finished Moon Knight #5, and the Marvel Wiki listed him as Clown 2.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I wasn't really familiar with Clown 1, to be honest. But
yeah,
the only comic book clown that I know is the Violator, the Spawn.
Yes, yeah, kind of very similar kind of vibe, like a short, stocky guy. Yeah, he loves his guns.
Speaking of Spawn, you had mentioned that the art seems very indie, and this seems like an Image comic to me.
Yeah, I think so. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, for sure.
It almost has like a weird, how do I put this? Like an MTV vibe. You know how they always have like those really weird cartoons
just
on MTV in the 90s.
Yeah, just not your conventional cartoon, that sort of thing. It's just it's a little bit more style.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead, like the Max cartoon.
Oh, the Max cartoon's awesome. Yeah. They're just a little bit off kilter, They, and certainly for this one as well. I can see that with the art. And I think it goes into actually, even the lettering, if you look at that, it's slightly different as well to your standard comic book. So it all has this kind of weird vibe to it. And I think that all lends itself to the characterization of Zodiac, making him out, because he's a title character, making him out to be a bit weird, a bit scary. I know, just looking again, just at characterizations, I mean, we've spoken about most of them. There's a little bit of Paste Pot Pete in there. He doesn't get much. There was just, the only thing that stood out for me with him was that he glued those security guards, and then Clown just blew the back of their heads off, which was, again, quite gruesome. Sorry?
You can definitely tell this was pre-Disney buyout.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because they would never do this now.
I
Never.
know. I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is a Max. I'm sure it's a Max comic, but this is 2009, so they were able to do this sort of stuff and push the envelope.
I say that, and then like Immortal Hulk is one of the most terrifying things I've ever read. So
that's true, but that's horror and kind of a different, like, I mean, I'm not justifying it, but it's like the realm, whereas this is like street level violence. Yeah.
I guess they have more leniency because that's like Hulk and monsters and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, this is a guy with
still gruesome.
It is. Oh, it is gruesome. It is terrifying. That horrific stuff. But this as well, with a guy who slashes in a Z formation. We see at the beginning, Agent Murphy is kind of like, oh, this isn't random. There's actually a signature. Zorro. Yeah, that's what I thought. So very cool indeed. References wise, look, it's part of the Dark Reign event. It says that on the title. Other than, were there any other references? You did mention, that fantastic Red Ronin reference, Russell. So that was was good. And also, again, referencing Moon. Is it Moonstone or Moon Dragon? You're talking about? Is it Moon Dragon?
Yeah, it's Moonstone.
Moonstone.
She was she was a Thunderbolt and a foe of Miss Marvel.
Okay, right.
I did want to talk about themes.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like there is one theme that will carry over into Zodiac appearances in Moon Knight, and that's he's very anti-authoritarian.
Yeah.
He's very against the establishment, and we see that while Mark Spector doesn't necessarily have the traditional establishment, he has his own built establishment of the Midnight Mission. Yeah. So it makes sense that Zodiac would want to bring him down, just for fun, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I always see that as a parallel between the two, something that they both because Mark is anti-establishment if you consider Khonshu. And his authority over Mark. So they both have that same kind of thing. The interesting thing about Zodiac in the Moon Knight comics is that he seems pissed off that Mark has this faith in Khonshu, but what I find interesting is that he doesn't. Like Moon Knight doesn't. He actually wants to spurn Khonshu and just but in a weird way still go about his work. So there are some definite parallels.
I think that's why. I think that's why Zodiac's targeted him is because like he's being false. Like
okay, right. Yeah, I mean
so like he says he's not following Khonshu anymore, but he still kind of is.
Yeah, yep. So you can see the parallels between Norman Osborn as well. That's why Zodiac hates him. It's like you're a bad guy, but you're now, under the the guise of being good. It doesn't make
He brings it up a lot. It's like that guy was the Green Goblin, and like I didn't even realize that his identity was public knowledge. But they bring that up several times, and it's like the parallels between Norman and Mark are definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is really great that we. And a great suggestion, Russell, that we actually cover these three. I mean, this is the bulk of where Zodiac is in comic books, right? So was a really great suggestion, Russell, to cover this. Loving the parallels between Norman Osborn and Moon Knight. Can you believe there are some? But
Right.
yeah, I don't know, unless there's anything else by way of themes, Russell.
No,
Any
that's
other
all
notes?
for me.
No? Do you want to give this a rating out of 10 decapitated heads?
Let's see here. I am going to give this a big, beautiful yellow man.
Oh, okay, nice. An 8 out of 10. That is for listeners who are unaware of the Khonshu rating system. A huge 8 out of 10. That's great. Fantastic. So obviously you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really think the only thing that hindered it for me was some of those weird faces.
Okay. Yeah.
And the faces really turned me off at some points. But other than that, I thought it was, and the characterization of the female characters was a little not good. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to take it down a couple marks for that.
Okay. So a big, beautiful yellow man for Russell. I'm going to go for almost a full moon. So I'm going for 8.5 out of 10, but more closer to 9 than 8. So let's just say 8.6 then. I just thought it was a very solid read. It didn't outstay its welcome. It's 3 issues. It's dense in some parts. I mean, you get the sense of it with the artwork, but also the dialogue. So there's a fair bit of dialogue in there as well, but at the end of the day, it's 3 issues, and so it was easy enough to go through, but there was so much in it, and I think the characterizations of Zodiac was just definitely written by Casey. You get a genuinely scary character here, and I'm now more excited than ever to see Zodiac take on Moon Knight, because I know a bit more about him. He plans ahead. I think Death Reaper even says, or Marsdale says, he doesn't go into a game unless he knows he's already won it. So he's very calculating. He's kind of like Carnage. He doesn't mind killing, which is a very scary thing. And he also has that senseless violence as well, which makes him even scarier. But it's not like he's just like a rabid dog. He's got a plan. He's got a plan. And so he'll be very scary for Moon Knight to go up against. So I'm looking forward to their tussle. See what happens in issue 6.
What the hell is up with these red-headed white dudes in the Marvel Universe being absolutely insane?
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say that this miniseries is just an absolute enigma. Because you have this event, you get this miniseries. It's only 3 issues. They introduce a new character with a established name, but he's a new character.
Yeah. And
you got these virtually unknown writers and artists, and he just disappears into oblivion. And then I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't believe Jed's brought him back.
I can't wait.
Oh,
yeah, I can't wait to ask Jed about why.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, and now's probably a good time, Russell, to let the listeners know. So as this episode comes out, there's actually a complimentary episode from Tomes of Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes. This week, like Ray said, around the time that this drops, I will be dropping a Tomes of Evil episode spotlighting Zodiac.
Awesome.
And Justin and I will be accompanied by none other than Jed MacKay.
Awesome. Jed is very well versed already with the By Beast, Russell. So you got that in there early. So
what about Man Mount Marco? That's the next one.
That's another thing to kind of make him to confuse him. But that should be a cracker of a listen to, listeners. So if you're listening to this, we're nearly done here. Just jump onto Tomes of Evil as well to have a listen to what I'm sure will be an awesome chat with Jed, Russell. I'm envious because Jed's always fun to chat to. Chat with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with that, listeners, we're just going to go to a quick short break, and when we come back, Russell and I will just wrap up the show, but we've just got some feedback just to tie up the rest of this episode. So catch you soon.
Hi, I'm Russell.
And I'm Justin.
And we're from the
Hold up. Listen up, you nerds. Tired of being a little goody two-shoes? Had enough of always talking about acts of courage and heroism? Well, you have come to the right place, I guess. Tomes of Evil is the comic book supervillain podcast, where every month we do a deep dive on a different comic book supervillain, as well as multiple sub-series on some of the most iconic foes of all time, including Darkseid, Doctor Doom, Scarecrow, and...
Named Hobgoblin, and you're right on time for your funeral.
I better be getting paid for this. So what are you guys waiting for? Bring on the bad guys.
Tomes of Evil, a comic book villain podcast.
This is Jed MacKay, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is an other side of the moon, and what you heard on the other side of the break there was Jack Russell
Give me a keg of beer.
Moran and myself chatting all about Zodiac, the latest and greatest villain that Moon Knight will be coming up against in the issue 6 of the Jed MacKay run later this month. Now, before we sign off, Russell, I thought we'd just go through some feedback which the fair loonies have left us. I didn't want to leave any stone unturned. I've got a couple of comments here from our Facebook page. It's not the Moon Knight page. It is actually the collective Facebook page. So I missed this last time. Yeah, and this is all to do with our last episode, 252, Bibs and Crocs, all to do with the Moon Knight costumes. And
Great episode, by the way.
oh, thank you. Yeah, Drew Terms, fantastic guy to chat with, and yeah, my gosh, there are so many costumes.
Yeah, loved all the costumes, but I also loved all the Devil's Reign talk.
Oh,
That
yes.
That got me excited.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure. We've actually got a little bit of something there later on we should talk about, Russell, too.
Yeah.
But the power of Chad writes in and he says about the costumes, I'd have to go with the mummy wraps from when Mooney was a werewolf. Add a continuity, but it's an intimidating look. I think this is the one that we did cover towards the end. It was part of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
The shawl casting shadow over Mark adorned with skulls and whatnot. Yes, that was a cool one, Chad. Particularly like the bird skulls on the knees, the knee pads. They were really cool. But thank you so much, Chad, for that. If you haven't seen it, listeners, have a look in our last episode. It's in our show notes. Also from High Priest of Khonshu, Rebecca drops in something short and sharp, and I totally forgot this, Russell, but she says her favourite costume, boxer shorts and mask. How could I have missed that?
Yes. Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight and the Bemis run. So it's happened a couple of times. But of course, Rebecca, my gosh, that would have to be a favourite, I'm sure, of many a loony listener.
Yes.
Russell, we have something from our Facebook group.
This is from certain someone named Justin the Owl Osgood. In order of favorites, I would have to say the classic costume from the original run is my top pick, but I cannot deny how much I love the Mr. Knight look. It just suits the character so well, and I love everything about it. Of course, I have a soft spot for the Fist of Khonshu look as well. That is, any depiction which doesn't show him having bare hands with the suit.
nice detail there, yeah.
Yeah, I hate that too, Justin.
Yeah.
I also hate it when Mark has what I call Spectre face. And I love the current black and white armor that came about a few years ago.
I'm assuming...
I'm less of a fan...
Oh, sorry. I'm assuming...
the Ellis, I would imagine.
Yes, yeah, the Shelby suit, yep.
I'm less of a fan of the tattered, torn-up look that makes him look raggedy. We'll save that for Ragman. I feel like there are plenty of other characters who pull off that look well.
Thank you so much, Justin. Also, one half of the velvet drapes. I mean, you can't get anything better than that, Russell. You know?
Yeah, the velvet drapes, they'll be on Tomes of Evil this week,
too. That is premium stuff. Listeners, go listen, turn off the lights, lock the doors, and just immerse yourself in the velvet drapes there. Justin, one half of them. Noel, of course, the other half. And Russell at the window. I don't know what you're in there somewhere in the fenestration.
I pull the curtain.
You pull the curtain. Yes. Russell's there, of course. No, instrumental. But no, thank you, Justin. Yeah, I mean, those costumes, for sure, they're all winners. I think Drew and I talked about three of them. We did miss out about Mr. Knight, but yeah, I can see how he's got such a cool look too.
Yeah.
Brandon Bartley Chambers writes in. He says, I don't care what anybody says. I loved when the cape connected to the wrists. I thought it was unique and it had a good reason for it. Made gliding easier. That's the one alteration I've never gotten over. Wow. Jeez.
Wow.
I'd kill for that OG appearance to make some kind of appearance in the show. I love your loyalty, Brandon. Well done. But we're talking almost 40 years. Brandon's been holding this torch for 40 years, Russell. Look, of course, everyone's got their own tastes and stuff. They are cool. They do have a practicality to them. And Don Perlin was pissed off when Ralph Macchio said that they had to do away with it and use the cape. So you're onto something there, Brandon. But thank you. Russell, do you want to do the next two? Like, they're kind of short.
Yeah. John Marsden, another Perlin backer here, says Perlin costume is and it always will be my number one.
Nice. Good on you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, can't argue. Do you like I don't think I've asked you, Russell. What do you think of the Perlin costume?
I mean, I like it for its era, for what it was. I still think that Moon Knight looks best. I guess I would say, if I had to give my top three, I know you kind of did a top three on the episode. Mine would be the classic Minch Sienkiewicz, particularly with the black mask.
Yes.
The Ellis or the Shelby,
always a
black
strong
and
one.
white armor.
Yeah.
And I am going to pick one from my this is a run that I've pretty much said is probably my favorite, and it's one that no one picks. It's the suit from Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Oh, yes, the Carbonadian one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a very strong suit. Yeah, it is. I like it because it's very urban. It's like urban wear. And I think it was news to Drew. I remember from our episode, it was used to prop up a building as well, which it has its uses. I think it's a great suit, but it's not like I guess people don't pick it because it's not what you immediately think of when you think of Moon Knight. It's usually the spandex, but I'm with you there. Yeah.
And I kind of like it how he had blue eyes in that suit. He had those glowing blue eyes instead of.
Yeah, because it was really
instead of red or white.
Because it was more like it was a real mask. It wasn't just like a sack over his face. So
yeah. Brandon Oime, I'm sure that's French. I love the Smallwood current MacKay outfit.
Nice.
The black and white clash with the armored look really complements the vigilante aspect of Moon Knight. while still retaining the Egyptian crescent symbolism.
Yeah. Can't argue with you there, Brendan. It is a very strong suit, and Cappuccio is starting to come into his own, isn't he, Russell, with his take on Moon Knight. He's got a very, people have called it like a very manga-esque kind of look for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I'm really digging it. It was a slow burn for me. At the beginning, I liked it, but I thought his work on issue 1, there were bits and pieces kind of missing, but the look of Moon Knight has been consistent throughout, and I think he's done really well with it, making it his own. A couple of just other final 2 comments here from YouTube, again, about bibs and crocs. So this is from Kyle Carr, one of our valued patronies. And he mentions, this was a reference to one of the Moon Knight suits that I called out for the Jeff Lemire Extraordinary X-Men series. Extraordinary X-Men Apocalypse Wars is like 3,000 years in the future, or something like that. Plus my favourite alternate Moon Knight. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, I was working off the top of my head. I think I mentioned it was present day, but yeah, 3,000 years in the future that suit was. Had a bit of apocalypse blue on there. Actually, it was a pretty funky suit. It had like a horizontal crescent moon as a back, shoulder thing. So that was pretty cool. But thank you so much, Kyle, for for verifying the where that was placed. Pretty cool suit. Russell, are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I remember buying that issue and seeing Moon Knight in there, and that was before I was a big Moon Knight fan.
Did it?
Because I kind of came late to the game.
Yeah,
but
did it lure you in? Did it Did you go, oh, that looks pretty cool?
I mean, every time I've seen Moon Knight prior to, really getting into the character, I was like, oh, yeah, he looks cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
But that was a she in that one.
Yes,
and,
that's right. And
that was cool.
Yeah, not much of a role, I think, from memory, but yeah, still looked good. And one final one here, Russell.
All right. This is from CMK7. Beep, boop, 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 beep, beep, boop. Great job, guys. Extremely thorough.
I'm not sure how to take that. Is that like a little too thorough?
my favorite is still the classic 80s Sienkiewicz. Flipping through a friend's volume number 1 of the Marvel handbooks, came across Moon Knight. It was love at first sight. He looked just so badass. The rest is history. P.S. I always considered his 80s bodysuit to be a heavily patinated silver, almost black, as opposed to the metallic white or bright silver some people insist it's supposed to be.
Oh, interesting. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Russell, your thoughts on that? I always thought it was kind of like a white, silvery white.
Yeah, I don't have any comment on that. It's just, I just, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is an ambiguity, let's face it. We spoke about that in that episode, about a lot of Moon Knight's costume relies on, I guess, the shadow and how artists depict it, because it can come across as being black, right? But I think as Chris was saying here, he imagined it to be that. So yeah, I mean, it's open to interpretation.
Well, Ray, you know what they say about shadows? They know.
They know. The shadow knows.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much rounds it. Thank you, Russell. That pretty much rounds out. Well, actually, that's a nice segue. But a big thank you to all our Looney listeners, of course, for all your feedback. Please let them come in. Keep them coming. I posted something up for this discussion with Zodiac, but at the time of recording, haven't been able to collate them. So we might, talk about them in a subsequent episode. But Russell, a huge thank you for joining the show again. It's always a pleasure having you on.
It's always a pleasure to be on. Oh, that sounds a little erotic, but
yeah. I just that just reminded me. A little short story here. You know, when I was in my younger days, you know, going to parties and stuff, and one of my mates, Stu, he came across this Irish girl, and her name was Anya. So he just kept on saying, "I want to be Anya, I want to be Anya." It's like, okay, fair enough. Well, you know, a couple of beverages had been had at that stage. Can't tell you what happened afterwards, but no, a big thank you, Russell. Before you go, of course, is there anything that you'd like to let the Looney listeners know about with your projects, and of course that fantastic Jed MacKay chat coming up?
Okay, well, you know, I have a lot of projects, Ray, so bear with me here. All right, well, first and foremost, check out Tomes of Evil, the comic book supervillain podcast. Every month we do it one or two spotlights on a different comic book supervillain, and then also we fill in the blanks, if you will, with some sub-series, including shows about Scarecrow, Darkseid, Doctor Doom, and who's that other one, Ray? Oh yeah, it's the Hobgoblin. Starting in 2022, as mentioned earlier, I will be a co-host for Justin's baby product baby podcast. Lost Libraries of Legends.
Yes.
That one's going to be a lot of fun. That one's going to be... We're going to have shows about Darkhawk and Sleepwalker. And there's another one that we're going to have a show about, but I mean... I don't know, Ray. It's a real good question who it is.
I'm not too sure, but yeah, the begs a question.
I also just started I guess I'm going to be appearing on a podcast that started out as a joke, but is now a reality, with Null Looney Tune Velvet Drape fucking nerd Tate, and that is Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast.
Awesome. I've listened to the first episode. There's a little bit of a sneak peek on Bandcamp for that. Fantastic journey to start off with. Noel knows his shizzle, and Russell, it's good to have you there as well. It looks like a fun series.
Yeah, and just to get a last few out of the way, we do have a Etrigan podcast, Gone the Form of Man, which will soon be joined by a Spectre podcast, the Wraith of God. And I think that's finally it. There's a big project that I'm working on for later in 2022 that I've told Ray about last night, and I don't want to say anything about it yet.
It's awesome.
It's something that needs to happen, though. I've been thinking about it for a long time.
Travesty.
It needs to happen.
It's a travesty it hasn't yet, you know?
Finally, I just want to say I am, of course, the best because I have subscribed as a patron to all of Ray's shows, so I'm collecting Ray podcasts like Infinity Stones. That's what I'm
like Pokemons. I know it's very much appreciated, Russell. My gosh, you are, a fantastic supporter, but also a fantastic podcaster in your own right. I'm going to call you the Wizard of Oz now because you're pulling the strings behind so many shows, as well as featuring on them, of course. But you, I'll call you the Maestro. I should call you the Maestro. My God.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
I mean, yeah. So, this is a boon, listeners, for anyone that is into superhero comic podcasts. Russell is, he's providing so much content there. Go check it out. There's so much. There's something for everyone, and there's more for things that you want to explore or maybe have been just curious about. So definitely check it out from Russell. He's doing great work, Russell, and thank you so much for all your support as well.
Oh, my pleasure. I was being a little cocky, but I'm actually very humble.
True. Yeah, you are. You are a humble gentleman. I'm gonna have to up my patronage to Tomes as well. Actually.
I appreciate that.
Oh, because I'm just loving the content that comes out. It's good. Russell is a valued member of the collective as well. Your shows are as well. So it just helps everyone. We're all here to prop each other up, and it's great to have all this great superhero content. Speaking of which, Russell, before we do sign off, Dark Reign. There is something that's already started. There is a collaboration, a crossover, if you will, between...
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot.
Yeah. The collective, we've done it before. We did it with Damnation a few years ago. And now we have a series of 4 shows crossing over, and we will be covering all of Devil's Reign for you. It kicks off with Capes and Lunatics. They'll be looking after the core books, I understand. But Russell, Tomes of Evil will be in there too.
Yes, we'll be covering the Villains for Hire tie-ins, as well as the X-Men tie-ins. I can't wait for people to tear me apart over that one because and also I think we have the Winter Soldier one-shot on our schedule. So yeah,
X-Villain. So there you go. There's a little bit of a tie there. Kind of anti-hero villain. Yeah. That loosely connected.
I mean, I guess technically we do an X-Men show on Tomes of Evil too.
Yes.
I guess that works out.
So that works. And of course, over here at ITK, we'll be looking at the Moon Knight related Devil's Reign issues. And over at To Know Her Is to Fear Her, Sarah and I will be looking at the Spider-Woman tie-ins. So we've got it all covered. Go check it out. We'll put it in the show notes, but check out Capes and Lunatics first as they kick off Devil's Reign, which came out earlier this past week or so. Next phase, we have an idle chat. It's the next bit in Understanding DID. It's part 3, and I'll be joined by Rebecca for this awesome chat. Truth be known, Russell, we've already completed it. We did it last night. It was a great chat. Great material from Lena. A big shout out to Lena, one of our valued Looney members. So we talk about that. I'm talking a bit more about DID and understanding it a bit more and how it's portrayed, in particular in the Jeff Lemire issue 10 run of his series. So check that out next week. As mentioned as well, we've got a Patreon page, the likes of which Russell has contributed and supported so loyally. Patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. Go check it out for any bonus incentives. There's plenty there. I'll actually be releasing another bonus episode mid-December. It will be myself and the 2 Velvet Drapes. I think before they were even known as Velvet Drapes. So this was recorded a while ago. So yeah, just to let you know, so we won't be referring to them as the Velvet Drapes. But they are there. Justin and Noel will be talking about a Moon Knight centric comic that comes out too. Also, our sponsors, CLZ Comics at collectors.com. Go check them out. Fantastic database for all your collecting needs. Daniel Doing at patreon.com/Fringe Night 27 for his creator-owned superhero Fringe Night. And Drew Toombs, soundcloud.com/Toombs, and lurkmusic with a ck.bandcamp.com for all Drew's music. You can purchase some of it there. It's really fantastic stuff. Very eerie soundscapes. And finally, if you use the code MOON, you'll get 20% off the online store at Dreamland Comics. Go check out your Zodiac issues and get them there for a cheaper amount. And finally, again, we are part of the collective. A big shout out to Tomes of Evil, Russell. Huge thank you for coming on, and a fantastic show that you put on. Really good, as well as.
Well, thank you.
It's without saying, Russell. It's fantastic. I mean, you bigger and better. Russell, I mean, Tomes of Evil recently just had the likes of Ron Mars on there as well. So definitely go check out. There's some great creator chats too. Also as well, Capes and Lunatics. I'll give them a shout out because they're kicking off Devil's Reign. But there are plenty of other shows on the list. Go check it out in our show note links. And finally, email us at feedback@itkmoonnight.com. We've got a website, itkmoonnight.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal, and Podchaser. And if you can leave a review, that would be mucho appreciated. It'll just help us get out there a bit more. Maybe touch base with other loonies out there who may want to give us a listen. So, Russell, any plans for... Are you off to work later today?
Yes, I am.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But... I get through tonight, and I have two nights off. So
lovely.
It's all good.
Lovely.
Ray, I actually wanted to leave you with a bit of a riddle.
Oh, please do.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to have to turn the microphone over to someone else who's going to be on Tomes of Evil later this week. So hold on just a second.
Okay.
Hello, Ray. I have a question for you.
Is that Aunt Gladys?
What has two arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and kills a spider?
Oh, I'm not too sure. Can of bug spray?
The Green Goblin!
I did that just for Noel and Justin.
Yeah,
that's who I did that.
I'm familiar with that riddle. I've heard it. I've heard it on Tomes. But thank you, Green Goblin. Yes. I still like Hobby better, but anyway.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too. I'm going to get thrown off a bridge now.
Snap. With that, listeners, have a good one. Enjoy it. Keep listening. And as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.